Uh, Sorry, I think my mic got muted. Okay. Yeah. So as I was saying that the user can create multiple periods, and at the end of those periods, the system will calculate the incentive, and it's automatically going to apply the incentive for that period. Now, our currently the Yeah, so currently how TTS was working was that it would be applied to the next invoice automatically, but we added two more types of rentals, and they're called sales-based rental and sales-based incentive. So I have a short demo for you all. Let's watch the demo. And okay, so my bad. Before the demo, let me just explain these calculations just so the users can understand, the viewers can understand what sales-based incentive and sales-based rental are. So these are the two new contract type which we added, and I'm just going to go over some basic calculations. I don't want to overwhelm you all. So on the left side, we have sales-based incentive, and how that works is, let's say that the incentive type is percentage. Now you can choose what your incentive type is, if you want it to be in percentage or absolute. And let's say that the target for this specific store was 300. Now you can create multiple slabs in your rentals. So let's say I created slab one, the criteria was 0 to 50%. And if someone reaches that criteria, we'll be giving them the incentive of 20%. The next slab was 50 to 100, and if they reach this criteria, then the incentive given to them will be 80%. Now let's say store 1 did sales of 140. Now the target was 300. So if you see that this store will fall in slab 1, why? Because the percentage of criteria met was less than 50%. Now, the incentive given, the way this is calculated is that the incentive was supposed to be 20%. So in the case of sales-based incentive, the 20%, the incentive will be 20% of the sales. So if you take 20% of 140, which was the sales the store covered in that period, the incentive will be 28. And same goes if the sales were 180, then the store would have fallen in slab 2, and the incentive would have been 80%. So 80% of 180 would have been 144. So this is sales-based incentive, and on the right we have sales-based rental. In sales-based rental, we have a new quantity called a contract amount. So as you can see on the left side in sales-based incentive, we didn't have anything as contract amount. So in here we have contract amount, and the only difference is that the incentive will be the percentage of the contract amount. So let's say our slabs were the same, our contract, our incentive type was the same, but now our contract amount was 600. And let's say the store did the same amount of sales, which was 140. Now the store will fall in slab 1. So the incentive was 20%. Before we were calculating 20% of the sales. Now we are going to be calculating 20% of the contract amount. So 20% of 600 would be 120. So the incentive given to the store would be 120 now. So this was just a basic calculation of these new types which we have introduced. And the reason for introducing them was because we wanted to cater more business problems, more business cases for our clients. So now I have a demo for you all. Let's just watch the demo and then we can discuss any questions we have. Rabi, I think there's supposed to be audio in this. So if you can unmute and start from the beginning, please. The video is still not audible to me. Yeah, I think you'll have to unmute the mic.
Hey everyone. Welcome to the demo for the revamped TTS module. Our goal? To enhance it and introduce two new types of contracts, sales-based rental, sales-based incentive. The module remains inside the Promotions tab, with a familiar grid layout. To start, click Add New Contract. This page has been completely revamped. A new field, Contract Type, now lets you select TTS, Sales-based rental, Sales-based incentive. If you choose a TTS contract, the working will essentially follow as it currently does. You'll need to select a project code. For sales-based rental or incentive contracts, you'll have to enroll specific stores in the contract. User must select store enrollment deadline. After this date, no more stores can be enrolled in the contract. Store enrollment fields opens and the user fills out the virtual hierarchy of the stores. Once done, all the stores can be downloaded in the CSV. User can remove specific stores and enroll the stores they want to by uploading the CSV. Introduced periods to make rental management more efficient. Periods structure multiple rentals within a contract. Rental start and end dates automatically inherit from the selected period. Set a period frequency, choose from yearly, monthly, quarterly, or weekly, and the system will automatically break down the contract duration into defined intervals. Users can edit these system-generated periods as needed or select custom to manually define their own. Once the details are set, the contract is created. Now, let's add rentals. Right-click and select Add New Rental. You can now create multiple rentals at once, making the process much faster. The rental form remains familiar but introduces new fields, such as incentive based on / criteria based on, allowing users to set incentives by unit type. Next, select periods for the rentals, using the ones we created earlier. Against each rental, you can now add criteria and incentives. Set targets either for the entire project code or for specific stores by downloading the CSV, updating the targets, and re-uploading it. The incentive section has been completely revamped, allowing you to create multiple slabs within a rental for greater flexibility and precision. Once finalized, the rentals are created. TTS contracts will continue to apply automatically on invoices, just as they do currently. Sales-based rental and incentive contracts will go through a two-level approval process, after which their credit notes will be created. In Trading Terms Approval module, first-level approval is approving the TTS. The user downloads the system-generated contract, which contains the calculated incentive amounts. The CSV file must be updated with the actual incentive amounts the user wants to allocate. Once updated, the file is uploaded back into the system, approving the incentives. Second level approval, approving the incentives for credit notes. This step only defines if the actual incentive given in previous step is to be sent forward or not. After approval, the credit notes are generated. These credit notes will then be available for use in the stock allocation screen, just like other credit notes. This two-level approval process provides better control over incentives and reduces human error. That's a quick look at the new and improved TTS module. These enhancements provide greater flexibility, better efficiency, and a smoother user experience.
All right, thank you so much, Rabia. And if you have any questions, we can answer them. I think there's already one in the chat by Yawar Saeed, and he's basically asking how the system will calculate the incentive based on the total target achievement percentage rather than individual invoices. So yeah, the whole concept of creating a period inside a TTS is so that we can give our outlets, our stores, our customers a time period in which they have to meet the target. So it does not work on individual invoices. I mean, it can work on individual invoices if the store has made that much amount of sales in one invoice. But the whole point of a period is to give them a date range in which they have to reach that number of sales target. So, for example, if I created a period from 1st January to 31st January, then that store is going to have one whole month, and the system is going to basically get the sum of all the invoices within that time period. And at the end of the period, the system is going to see that the consolidated amount of those invoices meets the target or not. If it does, then the incentive will be given. If it does not, then it won't be given. All right, thank you so much, everyone. That was it from my side. Now, I would like to hand it over to Bilal, who's going to talk about the system personalization for Engage. Thank you so much.
Um, am I audible? Well, hello everybody. My name is Bilal Channa. I'm your product manager for a field force management tool called Engage. And so what have I brought you today? Um, for a very long period of time, when we have field forces that are managed by organizations, um, one of the primary purposes of being a technology vendor to organizations is to really integrate with their culture, really integrate with their practices, and really integrate with their identity, right? And so, after receiving quite a bit of response on the fact that there needs to be some amount of personalization that can be done to engage, because we want to give a singular view to our field force to let them know that we have a particular brand identity and we have a particular brand color. We have introduced to Engage the app personalization for you. So now Engage platform has the ability as such that you can have your app colors, which used to be burgundy and purple for us, and turn them into any brand color of your choosing, or at least that of your own organization. You can also input company logos. And you can also personalize your avatars on the app to make sure that it's a little bit more personalized for our field representatives. So what's the idea? And in a second when I give you the demo, it'll become more clear. But the idea behind doing this, of allowing Engage to be white labeled, or for you to be able to really provide a consistent brand image and brand identity to your field force, is to ensure brand consistency, is to ensure that users are able to upload their own profile pictures, and ensure that there is better identification of the app on the app, and then teams are able to differentiate each other by their unique independent branding app. So let's actually see this thing live, and actually see what do we have here in Engage and how does this work. Rabia, can we move over to the next slide? So I'll be presenting you the demo of how you can do this. If you have any trouble, you can of course contact your CS manager, but we have built it so easy and simple for you that this demo should clear up how you should be able to personalize your brand colors and your company image on Engage app. Rabia, could we move over to the next slide? All righty. So um, you log in to your Engage web portal. You move over to your left side panel, and you navigate yourself down to system settings. All right. Um, you enter into system settings, and voila, now you have the ability to choose a logo and be able to really customize your colors, right? By having this eyedropper, right? And as soon as I click save, we're gonna see the magic in the next video. Yeah. Um, so Rabia, could we move over to the next video? So now what we have done with this is you've set up your brand colors, and now we're going to see how Engage app reacts to it as you've set up your colors and your logo. Rabia, would it be possible for us to show this on full screen? That's okay. It's absolutely fine. We can just go ahead with this. Right. So a user puts in their username, their password, they enter, and there you go. You now have customized colors. You no longer have the purple colors that Engage was actually known for. I'd say quite pretty. Look at that. Look at that. And then you also have the ability to give your merchandisers the ability to take pictures and so on and so forth. The reason why I opened the camera there was just to show you that you can take a picture on your own. So that's it from Engage's side. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, we really hope that Engage gives you the sense of brand identity that your field forces are known for, and allows you to differentiate yourself from the competition, not only just in practices, but also the technology vendor you choose, which is a Salesflo. Thank you so very much. Now I'll call in Uruj for us to be able to show us the functionality upgrade on Salesforce site with draft survey. Over to you, Uruj.
You'll have to unmute. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Bilal. I'm Aruj, and I will be taking you through a draft functionality that we have recently introduced in Salesforce site. It basically is a functionality to save your surveys and store visits in Salesforce site as drafts. So let me start with a quick business case so that you can understand where this functionality came into being from. So often at times it happens that you are at a store and you're conducting a bunch of surveys to track the progress of the store. And you have to leave urgently in between, or you have to go back to the previous screen to check a couple of details. What do you do now? Currently, what happens is that the screen basically asks you to complete all the mandatory surveys that are assigned to you, or check out and lose all of the progress that you have made till now. We have therefore introduced a backward flow mechanism where you will be able to save your incomplete surveys and stores as drafts for the day so that you can revisit the store and start from where you left off rather than starting from scratch all over again. That is about the draft functionality of Salesforce site. Next up, we have Anik, and he will be taking you through an innovation in Salesflow Go. If you have any questions, do drop the messages in chat, and I'll be there to respond.
Hello everyone. Thank you for the heads up, Aruj. My name is Anik, and I am the one responsible for Salesflow Go. So before I begin with the exact development and with what we've made, I'd like to do a bit of context setting here of what exactly Salesflow Go does and how is this feature particularly going to help us. Salesflow Go is particularly our large mile delivery optimization tool where it does come with an application that is particularly equipped with delivery men, which allows them to service deliveries at each specific store, therefore digitizing the entire operation and increasing efficiency in that particular segment. While Salesflow Go does allow you to service deliveries and they can only be done when you're actually present at the store, we do understand, the uncertainties and the technicalities there may exist in the market. Let's say if I were to present to you guys a business case of a particular store being in a locality of, let's say, a gated community where the delivery man can only reach the location to a certain pickup point or to a certain location where he cannot enter the store premises, right? So it's before the store, so he cannot physically enter that specific store line. On cases like these, since we've embedded a validation on our end to have geofencing, that is, he has to be at the exact right coordinates, we needed to introduce a provision so that such cases could be identified owing to the uncertainties and owing to the way the shop structure is in Karachi or in any other market, right? And so henceforth, so for that particular case, we have introduced a concept of store exemption list. As the name suggests, this before we begin with the demo, I just give context setting. As the name suggests, store exemption list is a pretty straightforward way where you as an operator, where you as a distribution personnel can simply upload those specific stores where you would not want the particular geofencing to be enabled on them so that the delivery man can service them at whatever the required allowable area is and can service those deliveries. So if I were to give you guys a demo, we can go to the next slide. Rabia, if you could play the video and if you could full screen this, perfect. So you simply go to the settings. You go to the system settings, which is embedded in Salesflow code. You can see the tab of Salesflow Go. Under Salesflow Go, you could simply go to the exclude source settings. And here you would select your respective distribution name, whichever it may be. Perfect. Let's say in our case, we are selecting the distribution of Engro right now. We select the distribution, and then simply you can then download a sample sheet. A sample sheet will tell you how exactly do you would want to upload the CSV files. The video is lagging a bit, and it will just resume in a bit. As you can see, we can then view the sample sheet. It's a basic CSV file. And the CSV file then opens in Excel. It shows you that there are two available options of the distribution code. You would input that, and you would input the specific store code, which is embedded into Salesflow. You'd put in the specific details, and then you could simply upload the list. Rabia, if we could fast track the video a bit, I think it's lagging. Like move it forward. Could you move it a bit forward more later? We can upload the list over here, and then we can simply add the stores. Ravi, you could forward it a bit more, let's say to the near end of close to a minute. It's a 115-second video. And in this way, you can upload the CSV. Ravi, if you could forward it more, I'm unsure on why the video is lagging. And in this way, simply as the video shows, you can upload stores and click on the import button. And the stores would simply be imported into the Salesflow system, and they will then be exempted from this particular delivery exemption. So if we come back to the slides, yeah, and I would then be open to any questions for this particular segment. And if we don't have any questions, we can then proceed to the next development that we try to make for Salesflow Go. Okay, so the next particular development that we made was that since our delivery functions in a way that previously the relationship between an order booker and a delivery man was already known, it was already predefined. However, since the dynamic nature of Salesflow Go and since the dynamic nature of how the load forms were being generated, the delivery man may not know at what locations and may not know from whose particular orders of the order booker ambit he is going to serve. So in order to increase that level of visibility for the KPO operator and for the delivery man in general, we have introduced the entire vehicle details that were initially mentioned only on the invoices or on the system on the backend to be now also be available on the load form. What this essentially does is that as a delivery man, let's say if a unique delivery man is in the market, so I would now know particularly what load form entails to me. There may be more than one delivery man with the same name, but the vehicle details would be unique on each one of them. So we then progress forward. Rabi, if you could show the video. Perfect. If you could full screen this. I would simply go to the load form setting. I would open the load form I would want. Let's say in this case, we can see the load form of Arsalan Khalid. We open this load form and I can here now see the vehicle that was attached to Arsalan Khalid is essentially the 24-wheeler Suzuki with the vehicle details of LEB 89669. These are the same exact details which are also available on our algorithm on the back end when we're performing the stock allocation. Let's say this was the first vehicle that was essentially allotted stock. So the same exact delivery man with the same name, the same details are now also visible on the load forms when they are now being generated, thus increasing visibility and increasing the efficiency with which delivery man can foresee and perform their operations. And with this, we conclude this development and I'd be open to any questions you guys may have. I think then over to Hassam Bhatt for the next development in Salesflow.
Hello everybody. I'm Assam and I'll be taking you over feed time and feed size. So before we dive into this feature, let's take a moment to understand what feed size actually is. So feed size refers to the number of stores assigned to an order booker. So the bigger the beat size, the more store an order booker has to cover, which can also impact execution quality and overall sales performance. This is also a common issue between businesses where when an order booker has so many stores that he has little time to engage on each store. So this also leads to like rushed visits and issues in productivity and missed sales opportunities. So to help solve this issue, we have introduced beat size setting. So let me show you by sharing my screen. So here. So once you go to system settings, you go distributor settings, and then in this, you will see a section called beat size. By default, this will be off. So once you turn it on, the following settings will show up. Let me take this here. So this setting allows you to set store limits based on business units. You can also define limits based on a group. You can like define limits based on group of business units or individual business units. So uh, 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 here, if I take you to an example, so let's say I have two PGPs. One PGP has brands that belongs to skincare, and one PGP has brands belong to skin and facial care. So how will I set it up? So here, once I select the business units, oh, here you can just select the business units. Like if I want to make a business unit with skincare, uh, I yeah. So once I select the business unit here, I can select skincare and facial care. It's not selecting. Yeah. Okay. Fair. Once I do that, I'll press save and here I'll have to enter the beat size limit as well. And now this limit, if you want, wait 1 second. I think my screen is stuck. Mm, it's not moving. Okay, I think it's moving now. Yeah. Okay, so uh, when a PGP includes brands that belongs to these business units, then the following limit that you've applied here will apply on the PGP. So so now that I've set up these business units and this beat size, let's go over to the PGP and see how this will work. So here's an example. Yeah. So here's an example here. When I'm trying to add a new PGP, I've selected the distributor. Here's the demo PGP name. So here, now once I select the brands that belong to that business unit that I've set up. So for example, body lotion, this belongs to skincare. Here, now according to the setting here, the skincare has 20 limit. So I cannot add more more than 20 stores in this PJP. So this through this you can have control over your PJPs, and you cannot you can like stop whoever is making or editing the PJP. They cannot add more than the stats that limit that you've set in the beat size. So okay, so now you must be wondering like what will happen to the existing PGPs. So the existing PGPs won't be affected by this. So if you want to see what PGPs are, how you would say like what PGPs are exceeding the beat size, then you can download a report in the report section, and there you can see the yeah. So it would look something like this. In report section, you can download it from under the name called beat size reports. So this is what the report would look like, and it will show you the store count and the beat size. And so you can like figure out which PGPs are exceeding which stores. Okay, so there's another setting. If in the case you want to exempt a PGP from from the store from the limit, so you can simply upload it in this section, which is called exempt PJPs from beat size. And once you upload it, then that limit will not be applied on that PJP. So yeah, with this, you can have more control over your PJPs and the limits that you set on the store on the PJPs. So yeah, this is it from my side. And next, I think it's Spike. If there are any questions, then you can let me know.
Hello, Faik.
Hi everyone, this is Faik Shamim, and today we're going to present the down classification. Okay, let's just start. Okay, hi everyone, this is Faik Shamim, and I'm looking into the core, Salesflo core, especially the MDM, Master Data Management. Today we have implemented a new feature, and which is the town classification. So town classification is a newly introduced feature in Salesflo, and that allows businesses to categorize town based on specific business needs, market sales tracking, and promotional management more effectively and efficiently. Previously, there was no structured way to segment town, but with this enhancement, we have introduced three new town classifications: town classification 1, classification 2, and town classification 3. These three categories, categorization or classification, help businesses organize towns based on factors such as market potential, loyalty programs, or regional strategies. By assigning these towns classifications, user can generate more insightful reports, filter data based on classification levels, optimize sales and marketing efforts. This structured approach ensures better alignment with businesses' objectives and allow companies and manufacturers and distributions to make data-driven decisions for improved performance and growth. Let's just go to the demo. I have already recorded it earlier. Okay, so here you can see that these three town classifications. Previously, it was just town, and you can define a town, you can open a town in Salesflo, but now we have like three different town classification. So we added three different tabs: town classification 1, 2, and 3. These tabs are basically allow you to define the town classifications in Salesflo core, and then assign these towns classification to any town of your choice. For example, this is town classification 1, this is town classification 2, and this is town classification 3. Okay, so Rabia, it has the video too, sound too. Yeah. Ensure better reporting and sales performance analysis. Now, let's move on to the town classification grid. Here, user can view, manage, and edit existing town classification. The grid displays all defined classification along with their description, classification code, company codes, and its status. User can filter each town classification or modify town classification as directly from this screen. Now, the next is I'll demonstrate how to add a new town classification in town classification 1. So let's go into this and click on add new town classification. Now we have 3 screens: town classification code, town classification description, classification company code, and its status. So if I add a new town classification, for example, urban low potential, and I say it has some company code defined by manufacturer, ULP001, and I mark this an active and town classification. So there will be a prompt asking me if I really want to add this thing, this new classification, and I say yes, proceed. Now I can see this town classification in my town classification list. I have the urban low potential with town classification code, which is the Salesflo generated code, and then a company code, which is defined by a manufacturer to map their own town classification in Salesflo. Now let's move on to the town classification 2. Similarly, here user can view description, class classification code, company code, statuses of all the town classification it has defined with the Salesforce portal in town classification 2. Now I can add a new town classification 2 here. Similarly, just like the town classification 1, I can add a new town classification, for example, loyalty program cities. So instead of towns, I can select cities. And then I can define the loyalty program company code. For example, you have a company code in your SAP or any other ERP running on the manufacturer level. Okay. No, sorry. All right. So I say LP002, and then I mark it as active, and I click on add town classification 2. Click on save and yes to proceed. And this classification is now available in the system. If we go to the town classification 3, and we can add the town classification 3 in the system, we say, just say town classification 3. And say, and now we have a, let's assume that we have a town classification company code defining manufacturer's ERP is TC003, and then add town classification 3. So finally, we have 3 new town classification ready to assign to a town. So I'll just navigate to a town, and I choose a random town, and I say, okay, fine, this is a town, Lahore. I say edit record. So I have the town classification attributes section here, where you can see the town attributes information, town classification 1, 2, and 3. We say urban low potential that we have created earlier, and then in town classification 2 we have loyalty program cities, and then we have a town classification 3. I can say edit town, yes to proceed. And now all of these classification are linked with my town classification, with town, Lahore town. So later on, when you generate reports for promotions, for any other incentives you want to give onto the town or town level, you can use these classification for further. Okay, so now we have explored the classification grid, learned how to create a classification, how to assign classification in towns, and edit a screen. With these enhancements, user can or you can effectively and efficiently manage town classifications, improve segmentation, and gain better insight into sales performance. Thank you for watching. All right, if you have any questions and queries, you can ask and
Spike,
we
I
can.
think there's a question in the chat if you can address it.
Okay, let me check. Okay, so why is dynamic classification used for, and can we add more than 5 store classification? Actually, you can define as much as town classifications in town classification 1, 2, and 3 in town classification, and these three defined classifications under these three town classifications, you can define as many as classification as you want, and you can assign these classification to as many stores as you want, not just 5 stores. You can assign these town classifications to n numbers of towns if you have over the sales flow.
Okay, thank you, Spike. Now handing it over to Sarah for mobility.
Assalamualaikum guys. Am I audible?
Yes, Sarah, we can hear you.
All right, great. Hello everyone. So I'm Sarah, and today I'll be talking about SFA in this webinar. The feature that I'll be is called the mandatory store barcode scanning on the mobility app. Now let's just go into it. Imagine you're a sales representative or let's say an order booker using the mobility app to visit stores and place orders. So previously, if your company had enabled mandatory barcode scanning through settings, you would actually have to scan the store's barcode first before placing an order. Now, this ensured that visits were being tracked correctly and improved accuracy and store identification. However, there was a small problem with this. New stores that had just been created often did not have their barcodes registered in Salesflo yet. And since barcode scanning was actually mandatory, spot sellers or order bookers were blocked from placing orders for these new stores. And this would cause delays and disrupt business operations. So now what exactly is the improvement? We've introduced a small or let's say a smart exception to solve this issue. Now, in the same settings where barcode scanning is made mandatory, there's a new option that allows users to exclude stores that have not been registered in Salesflow yet. Now, what does this mean? This means that if a store already has a barcode in Salesflow, the scanning remains mandatory to maintain accuracy. But if a store does not have a barcode yet, the app will allow the order booker to proceed without scanning. And this ensures that business can continue smoothly without any interruptions. Any questions? I'll just show you in the demo how the barcode can be created. So I will show a slight demo of how we can introduce this exception.
Okay, I think Sarah is having technical difficulties, so we'll continue with the rest of our agenda. That's it from our side for this webinar, and we hope you enjoyed all of our features. If there are any questions, please feel free to leave them in the chat below, and we will be releasing our recordings for this webinar as well on YouTube, so you can access that later as well, and do not hesitate to reach out to our product managers as well. As for our upcoming innovations, this is not where we are stopping. We have a lot of exciting stuff planned as well for the next month. For Salesflo, we have the SDR functionality for damaged and leak SKUs. For Salesflo, we have SDR invoice quantity visibility. For Salesflo Pulse, we aim to move all of our core static reports from core to Pulse. And finally, for Site, we have survey response dashboard. So this concludes our webinar. Thank you so much for joining in, and we hope that it was as beneficial to you and everyone else.